So my wife and I had a whole argument like the whole week that whether or not we had done Royal
You've been
Caribbean
there. That's
before.
right.
Yeah, and I think she's right. So I hope she doesn't
Been
generally
there.
listen to this podcast, so I won't have to say that publicly to her.
Just take those old records off the shelf.
Nice.
I'll sit and listen to them by myself, but then I'm going to turn them off. And I'm going to listen to episode number 148 of the Promo Upfront podcast with my friend Kirby Hassman. I'm Bill Petrie, one of your hosts. I just mentioned my good friend here, Kirby Hassman. Kirby, we're off the boat. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing well. As we're talking before we started recording here. I'm really excited. I've had a bunch of trips in a row, which have been great. And I really, I love to travel and love to go see things and do things. But man, am I ever excited to be home and sleep in my own bed and just get back into a normal routine. You know how I like my routine. So I'm doing really well to be back home, buddy. How about you?
I'm doing well. Be it ever so humble, there is no place like home.
Yes.
And so I'm glad you guys made it back. I know you had a little extra trip afterwards to Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, things are going well. Just kind of coming down after the very awesome high of the promo cruise and getting right back into planning the second promo cruise, which will sail this November 4th. So excited about that. So, I mean, it really, the way last week worked to build relationships and then sustain them, it got me to thinking, Kirby, as things often do.
They do.
Earth Day was just a couple weeks ago, and we keep hearing a lot about sustainability.
Sure.
And it's being, and being environmentally conscious. But do you know who's, there's a lot of people just happy talking about it, but there's really people who are doing something about it, Kirby. And I can tell you when it comes to a continual focus on the environment, you need to look no further than our good pals at Shepenko. That's right. Dan Towns and Tennessee Alex are here to help you out. If you're not aware, Kirby, and you might not be, it is their 90th anniversary of Shepenko. And while they've been focused on sustainability for decades, here are just some of the many things that they are doing and that they have been doing.
Yeah.
They use legal water wash when they're cleaning their screens. They reclaim screen materials to reduce the waste stream. They use metal reusable frames for reduction of that waste stream. All their cartons are composed of at least 50% recycled materials. And not to mention what might be the most eco-friendly product in our industry. It's environmentally friendly. It's naturally resourced. It's the pencil. And we know about that. So wait, there's two more, Kirby.
Okay.
This year, they're moving to clear PET bags for their special packaging, and they're transitioning all their lights in the factory to LED lighting. So when it comes to sustainability, Kirby, Shepenko really walks the walk, don't they? They do more than talk the talk. They walk the walk.
Yeah. And again, I think that what I think most of us love about that is they're showing the way, right? Like, because I think there's some of us who we want to do a better job of sustainability and kind of promoting that and all that sort of thing. But having suppliers who are doing sort of the heavy lifting for us, then all we have to do is showcase them. And so that we can then hopefully do some branded merch that actually does some good and then does some good to the earth as well. So I appreciate the hard work of the folks at Shepenko for that.
Yeah, 100%. Kirby couldn't have said it better myself. The hard work, the dedication, the focus for over 90 years. And we didn't even talk about the insanely creative, cost-effective, and amazing eco-friendly products that they have. In fact, everyone, I think it'd be a good idea right now. Go ahead and pause the podcast. We're going to be here. We're just going to hang out. Virtually, we're just going to hang out. We're frozen right now as we're telling you just to pause the podcast and head over to shepenko.com. It's newly redesigned, and you can see all their fabulous merchandise that'll help your client communicate their message while being eco-friendly. Go ahead. We'll be here when you're done. Go ahead. Okay, welcome back to the Promo Upfront podcast, episode number 148. All right, so Kirby, I have the honor of doing the upfront section of the podcast last week, In reviewing the podcast last week, it was a lightning fast
It
podcast.
was.
And we were in day 2 of a 5-day event on the promo cruise. I don't want this to become a commercial about promocations or the promo cruise, although you can learn everything you need to know if you head over to promocations.com. And if you want to learn about the promo cruise that's sailing this November 4th through the 9th, you can head over to promocations.com/promo cruise. But I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about, honestly, joking aside, I do want to get to some quick hit thoughts from you, and then
Mhm.
any additional thoughts from the remainder of the week. We've all shared a lot of pictures and things like that. So, Kirby, what was the one thing that really stands out to you about the event? Either location or just anything. Just when someone asks you, hey, so what was the greatest thing about the event? What would you say?
Yeah, so so I can tell you it's fresh in my mind because right after the promo cruise, I went to an OPA event, and OPA, actually Kelly Vessels was there, which
Oh, wow.
I was surprised to see somebody from the cruise at the OPA event. And so that was cool.
Hmm.
And so people were asking, how was it? What was it like this? Da, 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 da,
Sure.
da. And I think the thing that I told most people was I love going to industry events, but at the end of most industry events, this last event included, it's like
Mhm.
when it's done, whoosh, everybody's gone. Like
Right.
it's time to get home. And the Thursday night, which is the next to the last night, the day that we left was Friday. So
Right.
everybody was leaving early Friday morning. And it was like we went to dinner as a group. Then we got that photo. And it was like people started to disperse. And then, like, it was fascinating on deck 5 how everybody sort of like, oh, wait, I need to say goodbye to this person. Oh, wait, I need to go give this
Yeah.
person a hug. And it was one of those moments where it was like something clicked in my brain. I'm like, this is what they were trying to do. Like this, like the distributors were giving hugs to distributors, and like suppliers to suppliers, and like so that was the moment that it clicked in for me that what the
Yeah.
goal of the relationship building, the bonding, it happened because
It did.
very
Yeah.
organically at the end, everybody was like, well, I have to say goodbye. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, no, it does. It was real. I'd say that's the kind of thing that stands out too. When Josh and I set out to create this and build this, the idea was to take what we all universally agree is the best part of any networking event. It's the stuff outside the actual plan stuff,
Right, right,
right?
right.
It's the hallway conversations, it's the dinners, it's the cocktails after hours, heading to a show later. And we did all that organically as a group. There was only a few things that people were quote unquote forced to do. Much of it was go on your own, do what you want, but everybody still congregated together,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what we wanted. So I love that response. Okay, Kirby, what would you change though about the event? It was great. We've heard it was great. Always can improve though. When someone asks you, okay, great, Kirby, it was awesome. What would you change about the event?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm really struggling to answer it.
Well,
Not
that's fine by me. Let's move on then, my friend.
no, I really, I think you sent out a survey, which I thought was really smart. This is going to be so stupid, but like the check-in process at the hotel when we checked
Mhm.
in, I was like, it'd been
Yeah,
cool if there was like a little table. It was very
yeah,
informal. I'm sure that was on purpose. I think that would have been helpful to me to be like, okay, that's where I'm going.
right.
Other than that, like, I mean, getting on the boat, everything was really pretty seamless. So that's pretty nitpicky, but that's what I
So,
got.
no, no, that's a great criticism, and one we tried to address before we even got to Fort Lauderdale. We are not allowed to have a
Okay.
table
Yeah.
up at. So, unfortunately,
But
that was
again,
not in the
super
cards.
nitpicky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's,
No, no, no.
but like, obviously the tiki bar thing was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not anything where I was like, oh, that was a problem. Is that fair?
Okay. Absolutely. No, and I love that, and I appreciate all the feedback because it's the only way we get better and do this better. What was your biggest surprise when you reflect back on the week?
Got a train coming through, so I apologize for that. My biggest
Train
surprise,
kept much like Aerosmith's last tour that's happening next year. The train kept a rolling all night long.
yeah. So my biggest surprise, I think probably I didn't know these questions in advance, so you're getting my
No, you did not.
honest. My biggest surprise, I would say that Coco K.
Okay.
So my wife and I had a whole argument like the whole week that whether or not we had done Royal
You've been
Caribbean
there. That's
before.
right.
Yeah, like, and I think she's right. So I hope she
You
doesn't
hadn't been
generally
there.
listen to this podcast, so I won't have to say that publicly to her. But I think she was right, and I think Coco K has got. I think it's one of the reasons I couldn't get my head around it. It's so
Yeah.
much better than it was
Oh,
when
it's
we were
amazing.
there before. Like it's
Yeah.
so built out. And the pool that we were at with the swim up bar, it was such a like that was probably my biggest surprise because I was like, oh, Coco Cay, it's an island, it'll be fine. I actually love that. That was like
Yeah.
that was probably my biggest surprise in a positive way.
I love that. I haven't answered these questions, so I should do that. That's only fair. So, what did I like about? I'm just going to go back real quick. What I
Yeah,
like about it, I love the fact what you said. Everybody kind of traveled as a group.
yeah, yeah,
We
totally.
got very fortunate. If you've ever been on a cruise, sometimes it does the onboarding process, which nobody has anything to do with, but the cruise line.
Right.
Sometimes that does not go as smoothly as possible. We were quite literally, and I'm not joking, absolutely the first 50 people on the boat.
It was
And that was
unbelievable.
spectacular.
Yeah.
And so we ended up taking over this whole sky bar on
Yeah.
deck 11 or 12. And that was really cool. That was one thing I loved. The one thing I would change, I would change some of maybe the dinner times in the
Yeah, that's
way
a good
that
one.
that worked out.
Yeah,
Again, a lot of that's set by the cruise line, but we're going to work with them to see if
that's
we
a
can
good one.
alter that a little bit. My biggest surprise kind of goes back to the first question. It was not Coco Cay. Obviously, I'd been there. My biggest surprise was there was a lot of people who knew each other, and then there was a group of people who didn't know each other.
Yeah,
So very naturally, you have a segmentation where there could be cliques that formed.
yeah,
That never happened. That didn't happen once.
yeah,
I cannot tell you the people who did not know some of the group who were there.
yeah,
How many times I heard you were so welcoming, the event was so welcoming, everybody was so inclusive.
yeah.
That wasn't a surprise, I guess I shouldn't say, but man, what a wonderful testament to the great people we had
As
on
a
that cruise.
as a side note, to the merch
Yeah.
side of it, what was funny to me, and this happened, I think, pretty organically too, because obviously you gave
Mhm.
away T-shirts, and you
Right.
get and Cap America did hats, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
but what happened for me organically was that
Yeah.
whenever you would come around a corner and you're like, okay, I'm going to the pool, I'd look for the
Yep.
white hats and the white T-shirts that were together. I'm like,
Absolutely.
there we are. Like to the
That
point
might have
where
been
I actually,
intentional.
okay, so that's literally, I'm like, okay, that's the thing that I'm taking with me
Yeah.
to like clients when I meet with them. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I gotta make sure that they understand that. So if they're gonna do things that it stands out.
Yeah, we had about 53, 54 people there, and the boat holds 3,500. Now, I don't think the whole boat was sold out. So let's assume there were 3,000 people on the boat.
Yeah.
We stuck out like an awesome sore thumb because we were asked
Yeah.
continually all week, all of us were, who are you people? What do you do? How many people do you have on this boat? I mean, there were people who thought, did you bring like 600 people on the boat? That was a testament to the power of promotional products. I
Yeah.
mean, you really want a case study that works.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, Kirby. What was the best venue? And I think I know what you're going to say, but please, what was the best location?
The
Best
best
venue?
location and venue.
I
Yeah.
can give you some options if you'd like.
Yeah. Give me a couple options.
Uh, Tiki,
Mhm.
Tiki bar.
Yep.
The boat itself,
Yeah.
as a Coco Cay
Yep.
or Nassau.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of pointed it out already. I think Coco Cay was
Coco
probably
Cay.
my
Yeah.
favorite. But honestly, I enjoyed them all. And
Yeah.
what I like, and I think one of the concerns you have with a boat is that you think it's going to be kind of compressed. Those
Mhm.
boats are so big. Like if there were times where I wanted to have my own space, I wanted to get away from everybody, and for the most part, you really
Sure.
can.
Yeah.
And so the boat was really nice as well.
Yeah, I would actually answer the boat, but Coco Cay a close second. First of all, Coco Cay is just this jewel
Yeah,
that Royal Caribbean has so thoughtfully and intentionally cultivated.
yeah.
And for those of you who don't know what we did, a lot of us got up early, Kirby. You were very helpful, you and Amy, so thank you for that.
Mhm.
And we had bought towels, and we secured about 40 uh, lounge chairs by the swim up pool bar, and that was kind of our hub
Mhm.
for the day. And it was so fun, not only to have great conversations while at a swim pool bar and see this massive row of the promocations, Nassau logo and all that. But it was also awesome to have both pina coladas and Miami Vices for breakfast.
Yeah,
So you
that was
can't
pretty nice.
discount that.
Yeah.
All right. So I would say, but I honestly, I love the boat. I think the boat itself really lends itself to what we are trying to do.
Mhm.
One of the challenges when you do an event, if you have it in New Orleans, for example, you'll have some attrition because people will just go to Bourbon Street. They'll blow off things. people didn't want to do that here. They wanted to be part of
Yeah.
the group, and that was part of the intention. So
And by the way, I've been on multiple cruises.
yeah,
We've talked about that. Never had a balcony before. And I'm like, I will never not have a balcony again. That was so much better.
we made sure everybody
Yeah.
got a balcony. It's a
Yeah.
game changer.
Yeah,
It's a game
totally.
changer.
Yeah.
All right, last question, Kirby. One of the things I know Josh and I kept hearing throughout the entire event is this is so different than
Mm.
any networking event I've ever been to. Why, in your mind, was it so different? And
Because it
because
was,
I'm trying
yeah.
to put my finger on it.
Yeah, no, that one comes pretty naturally to me because it was focused
Good,
on the networking, not on the other stuff. It
good.
was so intentional. Like I left obviously we had one-on-one meetings and that was great.
Hmm.
That almost felt so quick. Like we
Yeah.
were, in a good way. Like
Hmm.
the 15 minutes per person, all that stuff, and it went well.
Right.
But was like, oh, okay. And I think so many times when you go to, let's say, those style of meeting events, I'm so fried by the end of the day. I don't, it's
Right.
often I don't want to talk to anybody else.
Sure.
And I'm an extrovert, right?
Right.
And so this one, it was like, oh, we're done. Cool. All right. Well, where are you guys going to hang out? Let's go hang out
Right.
together. And so because it was so intentional about the focus on relationship building, I think that's the
Hmm.
reason. And I'll tell you, there were several times where I went to something that I wouldn't always go to them because I'm like, but that's the point of this exercise. That's the point.
Right.
I'm going to go and hang out, even though I wanted to go read a book. But I'm like, no, I'm going to commit to
Right.
this mission because that's what we're here to do.
Right.
And with we talked about last week about the +1. Amy was the
Yeah.
same way. Like Amy was
Yeah.
like, Kirby, don't let me hold you back. If you need to go and do
Right.
the thing, go do it because that's what we're here for. And so I
Right.
think because it was so focused intentionally on that, that's why it was better.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think that's one of the reasons it was so different. We were, as you said, very intentional about creating these things. The most magical thing for me, we talked about how we all traveled in packs and found each other. But it was really after those one-on-one meetings. That was a requirement. Everybody had to go to those one-on-one meetings. +1s were doing whatever. They were having breakfast, laying out by the pool, whatever they were doing, playing bingo. I don't read a book. Doesn't matter. Within an hour after that was one-on-one sessions ended, I'd say 90% of the people were in the adult pool and continuing to
Yep.
talk about business.
Yep.
In fact, I know for a fact business was written that afternoon
Yeah.
based on those conversations
Yeah.
on the boat. An order was delivered to a supplier. So it was cool. So no, I think that's why it was so different. Again, it was, we wanted to create this kind of accidental collisions, but you want to be part of it. You don't want to miss
Yeah.
out.
Right.
We almost created FOMO on the boat.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. I agree.
Good. Awesome. Well, Kirby, I feel pretty amped up.
You should. Yeah.
I do, but I would be remiss if I didn't amp it up a little more. Hey, big news, folks. Promo Pulse has just released a major update to their free award-winning app. Distributors now have access to the same gorgeous marketing content that users already access via their online popular AMP service. The app makes it super easy to share content on social or directly with your clients. And when you include the search functionality, the app is a game changer for distributors. So please, if you haven't downloaded it, download it. If you haven't updated it, update it, one or the other, or do both.
Yeah.
Fine. But just do it.
Yeah.
All right, Kirby.
All right.
Let's go. Let's move on. What do you
Yeah.
got?
So this is kind of an interesting transition to for this conversation because obviously the Promocations event happened and it was about relationship building. So I came across this stat that kind of blew my mind. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It says that the risk of premature death from being socially disconnected is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So it represents an even higher mortality rate than a lack of physical activity and obesity, according to the U.S. Surgeon General. So,
and this is being socially distant, you said?
So essentially being disconnected. So in other words,
disconnected.
Lonely, right? Like,
yeah.
So the being lonely is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And time spent with friends fell by 20 hours a month from 2003 to 2020. And that was before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So the idea, it's interesting because we heard some talk about this during that time during the pandemic. And so this is just really, I think we are in a world where we're quote unquote more connected than ever before.
Sure,
And
but
yet
we're also more disconnected than ever.
exactly, and more isolated because we can,
Yeah.
because the tools exist. So obviously your event was about connecting, but I guess my question is this something that you like individually that you
Hmm.
focus on? Because I know you work from home, right? And
I
you've been
do.
working a ton lately, like, right? So what do you do, if anything, to try and stay sort of connected and not on an island right now?
So that's a great question, and interesting stat. I mean, the stat surprises me. It's equivalent to
Yeah.
smoking 15 darts a day,
Yeah. And it's
but
from the Surgeon General. Like it's not like
right,
just in, you know what I mean? Like,
right, right. This is real.
yeah.
Um, working from home, I do feel isolated, and I don't care how many Zoom meetings I have with people or phone conversations, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And as you were speaking, I was thinking of a couple neighbors who, friends I have who come over on occasion, and we watch TV, maybe smoke a little meat or, barbecue or whatever, and have a couple drinks. Universally, either during or after that event, one or both of us will say, "Man, I needed that."
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You have that connection with people, and because you have these machines that are wonderful, and
Yeah.
you have all the information you could ever want in the world, it's very easy to just get sucked in,
Yeah.
right? And kind of ignore that. So I think so. What we do, it's very easy to be isolated. Every Wednesday night, we go with a set of friends and we go play trivia at a local brewery.
Love it.
Most of the time, I don't even buy a beer. Last night, we went last night. I just brought a 30 ounce kind of a knockoff Yeti full of water. But it was just that connection. It was an hour and a half, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
Even though leading up to it, I was tired. I didn't feel like going. It's still recovering from last week. So it's things like that. It'll be a little easier in the summer. Over the next 2 weeks, my kids are going to be coming home. I didn't think they'd be home this summer. I thought they'd be working or on an internship or something like that. That's not in the cards this year. They're coming back and they're going to be at home.
Cool.
So I'll have a lot more human interaction this way. I think you have to be intentional about it,
Yeah.
though. In fact, I was telling Sandy this morning, hey, we need to have neighbor X over. We had to cancel because there was a reason a few months
Yeah.
ago. We got to have them over.
Yeah.
So I think you have to make concerted effort to do it, because it's very easy to just kind of wallow in your own malaise and
Yeah.
just wonder why. Why do I feel so crummy? And it's hard to put your finger on, but it is that human interaction. And look at what we did last week.
Yeah.
That was human interaction at its peak.
Yeah. Well, and I'll
So,
tell you, you talked about it being intentional.
mhm.
So transparency, we left there, and I
Yeah.
flew to Atlanta so that Amy could attend her college friend's surprise 50th birthday in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And it was funny. It was the same kind of concept. And I was going and
Yeah.
dealing with strangers. I knew two people
Right.
there. But it was funny at the end of the evening. It was like everybody's like, "Oh man, we need to do this again. We need to," and
Right.
it's exactly what you're talking about. I needed that. And
Yep.
I think if you're not intentional, then 10 years will go by and you won't
Yeah.
see that
In a
person.
blink of an eye.
And yeah. So
Absolutely. No,
yeah, I
great
thought that was
topic.
interesting.
A
Yeah.
great stat. Great stat. I mean, terrible stat, but great
Yeah,
stat.
yeah, right.
All right, Kirby, I know you have a lot of passions in life. I know your family,
Yeah,
absolutely a
right.
passion. I know your work, the work you do, is a passion. I know beer is a passion of yours. Being, running and you have a lot, sports, a lot of passions. But almost at the top of that is royalty. And so I want to talk about King Charles's coronation, because I know come Saturday morning, no one is going to be glued to that television more than you. So let's talk
I had
about
no
King
idea it was
Charles
happening.
III. That's funny. We all know you have the shirts and all that.
Yeah.
So King Charles III coronation merchandise. There's official merchandise
Oh,
and there's
geez.
unofficial merchandise.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you enough money to buy one thing from each list. And I want
Okay.
you to tell me what you would buy and why. And it's on me. Doesn't matter the cost. It's on me. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for official merchandise, here are your choices: a biscuit tin, a collectible plate, a mug, like a coffee mug, a champagne flute, Kirby, a tea tower, a cake stand, and a queen consort silk scarf. Kirby, what could I buy you today to really envelop you in the excitement of the coronation of King Charles III?
I, I don't want to discount the people who are excited about this. I think that's great. I
I
like
do.
zero shits do I care about that. Like I literally could not care less.
But I'm buying you something.
Yeah,
Please allow me
so
to buy you something.
a coffee mug. The coffee mug is
A
something that
coffee mug.
I think because
Okay.
I would use it. Everything else you just mentioned, I don't make
All right.
biscuits. I don't whatever. So coffee mug.
Before we go to the unofficial list, let's talk about this. The merchandising of all this.
Yeah.
I don't probably haven't seen a lot of it, but you can imagine it. You don't
Yeah,
have
sure.
to really see it.
Yeah.
And like you, I don't understand anybody's uh caring, let alone obsession with things that are royal. I don't get it. Not our country.
Yeah.
Nice people over there. Very nice people. Cool accent.
Yeah.
Great bands came out of there. I don't care about who's running their country. And generally it's
Except they're
figurehead anyway,
not.
but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
How you know what we should do? Let's take a guess. And I don't know this, but
Okay.
how, and I'm sure we can find this out by next week. We can do a follow-up. We don't do this very often. How much merchandise in terms of dollars do you think will be sold surrounding
Mm,
the coronation of King Charles III? I'll go. I have no idea. I promise you, this is not.
yeah.
I'm gonna say $800 million.
Wow.
I'll write it down.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. The number that I had in my head was like
And this is
2.5.
let's talk about it globally. This is globally. I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess because again, it doesn't generally happen very often. So I guess that's the appeal is that you say, oh, okay, this
Probably
is
going to happen in the next 3 years again.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I probably was way low, right?
Okay, what's your guess?
My guess was 2.5 million, but that's probably
Okay.
ridiculously low. So
What is your guess now? So global sales, let's say by the time we record next week, so I'll check next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And if see, and I'll try to find I'll task myself with this. I'll try to find a number. I'm going to say 800 million.
All right. I'll say 100 million.
100 million. Wow. Wow. Well, let's see if we can contribute to that, Kirby. So some of the unofficial merchandise. Now these are some great ones. Again,
Okay.
on me, out of the goodness of my brand of 8 Billy Hart. All right.
Here we go.
Heinz ketchup has released a new variation called King Chup, not ketchup, King Chup. All right. You could have a cardboard cutout, like a flat Stanley of King Charles.
Okay.
Uber. Well, let's get to Uber in a second. That you can have a full scale, weighs about 60 pounds, chocolate head of King Chuck, if you'd like.
Not. No.
I think it's solid, just to be clear.
Okay.
Before you scoff at that, it is not hollow like his real head.
Yeah.
It's actually full, it's actually solid. And last, Kirby, Uber is offering a coronation carriage ride option in London's Dulwich Park. Now, Kirby, this carriage, if I can try to sell you on this carriage is inspired by previous royal carriages and will be pulled by 4 white horses in coronation attire. Kirby, how can I unofficially help you celebrate King Chuck's coronation?
So that one's actually easy. I think the last one, Uber, because that
Uber.
means I got to travel to London and it would be a part of an experience. The second place would be the cutout because I just think that would be funny to put in places.
Right. No, just to be clear, I'm paying for the Uber, not travel over there. I'm sorry, that's not included in your package. You needed to check the fine print. All right, so we'll do a little wrap up on this. Hopefully, maybe we'll have a number, maybe we won't. But I'm always fascinated. You know, we talk about the power of promotional products.
Yeah.
And man, when I know he's getting coronated, I've been in the industry 23 years, and I still don't think in terms of how can I merch the hell out of that. I just don't sometimes. This is one of those times like, well, of course you would, but it just doesn't occur to me. So interesting stuff. You got
Yeah.
one more, or are we good? Are we
I
done?
think we are about 30 minutes right now, buddy. So we
Okay.
can
Wow, that's double our podcast last week, which was a tidy
yes.
12 minutes and
Yeah.
35 seconds. But here's the thing. This is episode 148. We have sustained a podcast for 148 straight weeks. And that reminds me of Shepenko's commitment to sustainability as well. They have been committed to sustainability and eco-friendly for 90 years. They're celebrating their 90th anniversary. And for 90 years, they've been doing things like using legal water wash to clean the screens. They reclaim screen materials. They use metal reusable frames for reduction of the waste stream. And this year, they're moving to PET bags for their special packaging and transitioning all their lights to LED in the factory. And this isn't even mentioning that they absolutely produce and manufacture the most eco-friendly, renewable, sustainable product in the promotional products industry in the pencil. So would be very well to look at Shepenko anytime you have an eco-friendly initiative with one of your clients. They do such a fantastic job. They were on the boat last week and did a fantastic job really expressing all of this. So you want to learn more, head over to shepenko.com. It's been newly redesigned. Find out what product is best fit for you and your client. And I guess that'll do it for today. But before we go, Kirby, I want to say pip, pip, and cheerio, and God save the king.
That's right.